Hey, let's see here. Oh, confused. Give me 1 second. Let me check the T. Hey, let's see here. Oh, someone in chat? Um, I just talked and did like a brief overview. It looks going on deaf ears because there's no one. I wasn't live or something. Uh, I'm straight up confused. Okay, now it says I've been live for a minute. Whatever. Okay, so I did an intro before, but I guess I wasn't actually streaming. My bad. So I'm doing an intro on Unreal Engine 5. I'm going to be following along on this tutorial. I am learning Unreal Engine well, but if you'd like someone to follow along with, maybe learn things from me as I learn, perfect for you. Or if you just want to watch someone mess around in Unreal. So I'm following along this tutorial. The link is in the description. Feel free to join on in, follow along yourself. No way claiming that I am a professional. I'm a noob. But he's just kind of giving an overview on downloading the Unreal Engine itself, and then also the Epic Games Launcher, showing you where you can find some tutorials.
Our marketplace is a great way to get free and paid content to accelerate the development of your project. If you're looking for a quick way to get some content to start working with, the free tab has access to both approved Epic Games content as well as content that they are giving out for free. Next to the marketplace along the top, we have access to our library. Our library is going to be our
So let's see here. Let's see if we can get some free stuff. So free Epic's game content. If you're looking to mess around with Unreal Engine, there's a ton of stuff we can do here.
primary interface with our engine and our projects. Along the top, we can see our current installed engine versions. I have 4.27. We can install additional versions next to it.
So this is going, even though the title says Unreal Engine 5, and he is showing 4.2, I'm using 5.2. I think we should be okay. So I think the concepts are going to be the same regardless of the engine you're in.
We can click on the plus sign next to engine versions. It will create a new entry, and then we can select a version of the engine that we want installed. Since we're going to be using Unreal Engine 5 for this course, and you may not have it installed yet, go ahead and install the latest version of Unreal Engine 5 at the top of your list, so that way we can use that for the rest of this course. Let's click install, and after we've clicked install, it's going to ask us where we want to install it, as well as some options.
It's going to take a bit for me. I have a really fast download speed. I get like over 200 megabytes per second. Takes a bit, and then it's going to take a while for the files to verify, which is, I don't understand it completely, but I assume it's just down your files, and then I'm assuming it has to like compile or something. I don't know. It's a really big file, so give yourself, oh, start the download and then go do some errands or something. What I did last time.
I'm going to go ahead and click on the options now and briefly cover these. By default, it's going to install some things like our starter content, some sample templates, the source for the engine in case you need it, as well as if we scroll down, some target platforms. As I am installing this on Windows, Windows is already installed by default, so I can't change it. However, I'm not going to use these other platforms, so I'm going to uncheck them. This will make my install size smaller, as well as my download smaller.
I can click installed plugins. I apparently have Quixel Bridge just for like transferring assets and stuff. Oh yeah, you can see here the total size of the engine is about 60 gigabytes.
Scrolling back up, I'm not going to need the engine source for this course, so I'm going to go and remove it. This will lower my download and install size, and I'll hit apply. Once I have it in the correct location where I want it installed, I'll click install, and it's going to go ahead and queue it up and start installing it. While this is installing, let's go ahead and look at some of the other features of the launcher. Below this, we have my projects. This is a list of all the projects that I've been creating. It shows their names.
Where are we? Library, my projects. Okay, yeah, I've got one VR warehouse because I'm working on VR stuff.
A thumbnail, and then the engine version that was used to create them. You will notice I have 4.27 installed and 5.0 installing. Engines are separate. They will not replace the other ones. You can have as many engines installed as you have space. Below our projects, we have access to the vault. The vault is where all of our purchased and free content from the marketplace goes to. This is where we can add to project, create a new project, or install them to the engine in the case of a plugin. While the engine's installing, we're also going to go ahead and set up the project that we're going to be using later. Let's go back to our marketplace, and let's look for our learning kit. Once the marketplace is loaded, under search products in the top right, type in learning kit, and go ahead and hit enter or search for it. We're looking for the one on the left, Unreal Learning Kit Games.
All right, let's go snag that. So we go marketplace. Marketplace, come on. Learning kit. Unreal Online Earning Kit. I already own it because I've done this before a long time ago. It doesn't say games, but I assume that it's the games one. Pretty similar. Now with robotics. Yeah. Cool.
Go ahead and click on it to open it. This is a sample project we'll be using for our course later on. Let's go ahead and grab it. You may notice it says free. Go ahead and click on free to add it to your library. Once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and create project. You'll notice it says queued. If we click on downloads in the bottom left, we can see everything that is currently set up to be downloading. We have Unreal Engine 5, a plugin, and our Unreal Learning Kit games. Once this is finished, we'll continue on with the rest of the course. Now that our downloads have finished, we can go ahead and go back to our library, and we're going to find, when we scroll back to the top here, we have Unreal Engine 5 ready to launch, and inside of our projects, we have the Unreal Learning Kit games. Coming up next, we'll create a new blueprint project using the third-person template.
Ready, set, learn. Going to the next module.
Now that we are prepared to work with Unreal Engine, let's take a look at managing our engine installations.
One thing I'm going to notice right here is that I don't have a supported engine. This is from 5 to 5.1. And to be honest, guys, I'm not gonna install another engine just to do this kit. You can feel free to do it, but I'm just gonna do, this is like in a 1 hour tutorial. I'm not going to load like a 60 gigabyte engine for it. Sorry. But we'll keep going.
If we want to remove one, we can click on the X in the top left of each engine install and choose to uninstall it. We can also modify the options after we've installed the engine by clicking the drop down in each engine version, choosing options, and then we can adjust the options that we changed when we first installed the engine. In order to launch the engine, to start working in it, we can click the launch button on each engine version, or on the top right, we have a quick launch. Let's go ahead and launch Unreal Engine 5 and get started. Once you launch the engine, the editor will start loading up, and it's going to take us to the new project browser window. Once the Unreal project...
So one thing that might be confusing, there's an Epic Games launcher that has Unreal, and then you open the Unreal launcher, which has all your projects and stuff. So you have a lot of tabs, but on the left over here, this is the Epic Games launcher, which will have games and Unreal Engine. And then when you launch Unreal Engine as the Unreal Engine launcher, that might be a little bit confusing if you've never used this before. But let's keep going.
Project browser is loaded up. You can see, similar to our launcher, we have access to our existing projects, as well as the ability to create new projects from both templates as well as a blank. On the left-hand side, we have our template categories. You can go ahead and click on games on the left. We're going to be creating a new project using the third-person template. Once we've chosen the template we want to use inside of our project browser, it's going to give us some information about that project, such as what we're going to get, and maybe some of the features that will be included with this template. Below this, we have our project defaults. These are the defaults when we create this project using this template. These are not...
You're talking about... I know I've got a lot of tabs open, but he's talking about all this stuff. Either blueprint, C++, target platform, quality preset, story content.
The only settings, and they are not permanent settings. They are just the default, and we can change these once we start up the project. We're going to go ahead and leave all these at our defaults. So we want a blueprint project, desktop, maximum quality preset. We want starter content included, so go ahead and check that if you have not. And we don't need ray tracing. In the bottom left, you can choose where you want your project to be located. I'm going to install mine in my projects folder, but you can click this little folder to change it. And then the name of the project. Let's go ahead and name ours Your First Hour.
Your first hour. Very original. I changed mine to first hour.
And we'll go ahead and create. The editor is now going to load up our new project that we've created. Depending on if this is your first time or you've launched the editor before, it may take a little bit of time before your
Is this your first time? First time editing in Unreal?
project is fully loaded. Once it loads up, go ahead and dismiss any pop-ups. We're not going to worry about those. And we're going to start getting acquainted with our editor. Starting with the screen in the middle, this is our
So I have gone into Unreal before. So if you have never been into Unreal before, this little window here is your viewport, and you can WASD, you can move around. You like right click and then you can move around. If you're a gamer, you probably are familiar with those controls. I have a different loadout, so like yours is probably in the middle. But I dragged, you can like move. If I move this over here, move it over here. I like this kind of view, having it all on the left, but it doesn't really matter, just personal preference. Feel bad about yourself if it doesn't look like this. Not out there. And then let's see here real quick. Yeah. If I press play, you can do Alt P. You have a little player. Look at that. Run, baby, run. Jump. Oh wait. I have a weird keyboard, so. Oh yeah. So it's just as soon as you start it, you can get going. This is like the starter third person. Okay, let's keep going with the tutorial.
our viewport. This is where we can navigate or see into our world. We can use our mouse to click on items inside of our world. We can also use our mouse to navigate. If we hold down the right mouse button and rotate our mouse, we'll rotate our camera viewpoint. If you've ever used a first-person or third-person game, you may be familiar with the WASD keys
WASD.
for movement. If we hold down our right mouse button, so we have control of our camera, and we use the WASD keys, we're able to navigate around our world. If you'd like to
Oh, I'm so smart. Just said that. Smarticus. Spartacus. Spartacus.
go up and down, you can also use the Q and the E key. Now this is the basic
Oh, Q and E. It's here. Q. Oh yeah, that's nice. Q, E. Q, E. Q, E. Okay. This is
navigation of
super
our
basic
viewport.
stuff, but I mean, maybe you're overwhelmed, but this is just moving around
Go
your
ahead and fly
viewport.
around for a bit till you get used to it. Inside of your viewport, you're going to want to manipulate your level. You're going to want to design it. In order to do that, let's look at the basic controls. I'm going to navigate down to this box so that way we can see it and we can start manipulating it. When we click on it, we have a outline showing us the item we currently have selected, and then a widget transform inside of it. By default, it is set to the movement or the translate, and we can see an arrow for each of our directions.
Yes. Okay. So let's see here. We've got these arrows here. You can move everything around. Boop, 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 boop. You're like a construction worker, except you can move insane pieces around with your finger. And so, see these arrows here? We've got, this is like moving. Move it that way. There's an X, Y, and Z axis. Um, you can click this little ball in the middle and you can move it all around like pretty freely. Up here, you'll see like the select. There's the movement thing. Rotation, so I can rotate this bad boy. Rotate, rotate. Rotate it this way. And then there's a scale, like you can, see how it's going up. Boop, boop, boop. Or you can, all different types of scaling. If you click the middle one, it does all three at the same time. It's moving this side. So first get into Unreal Engine, you're just gonna want to mess around with stuff. Like I honestly don't even focus about anything over here. Just go ahead and mess around with stuff. Start clicking around. A lot of the controls you're gonna want is just these four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, baby. Boom, baby. So yeah, that's what the guy in the video is talking about. Just go in there. That's what I'd recommend doing. Just mess
If
around.
we mouse over one of the arrows, they will turn a. If we these, you can see we have, and we have, and not X, Y, and Z axis determines where we're moving.
Gonna go through all this stuff. So you want to like, see how everything looks like a grid? You can turn that off, like, and it snaps to the grid. You could turn that off. So see how like I'm moving in between the grid? Look at that, right? It's super smooth. You can turn snapping on to where it only snaps like into perfect snappages. If you're OCD, you probably really like that. Perfect snap. What else we got? You could change the value of how much it snaps. But it's at 10 right now, but I can change it to 1,000. Shh. Probably not gonna let me because I'm not doing it enough. That's if you're like using like massive. Uh, look at these snaps; are way bigger. That's kind of cool. Same thing with the rotation. You can change the and scaling options. So you're just kind of changing the snapping and. But again, these are like all your main controls up here.
This item. When we change it to local space, we can now see it changes the icon in the top right, and this item will now move in the local space, or the up, down, left, and right of the item itself, and not in the world. Other options are snapping, wood removing.
What's up, Storm? How you doing? We're just learning some Unreal Engine. I'm doing like a super simple intro because I am learning myself. I've done a little bit here and there, but mostly in Unity. So I'm going through
Snapping when
some. Can I help you with something? Maybe. I'm gonna say probably not because I'm still learning. But go for it. What do you need help with?
we are rotating, and snapping when we are scaling. You can enable and disable these each individually, as well as change the amount for those snappings. Lastly, we have the camera speed. This changes how fast our camera will move when we're navigating inside the engine. Now that we have the basic controls of our viewport down and we can manipulate items inside of our viewport, how do we get items into our viewport? And that's primarily going to be from our content browser. In the bottom left, we have access to the content drawer.
Your widget text is inputting a. Are you saying within Unreal? Widget text? Widget. Hmm. I'm gonna be honest, man. You may be a little bit more advanced than I am. I am a complete noob at Unreal, and so I apologize. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what a widget text is. possibly in the future I could look it up and research it for you. Hmm. Um, but if I could think of anything, I'd consider. Can you cast as a instead of number, cast it as a text? Like, I'm just thinking like I just have knowledge of like data and stuff. Like it could be it could be inferring it as a number. See if you can cast it as text or a string. That makes sense. Not sure if you can do that in the way that you're doing it, or if that even makes any sense. Okay, let's keep going, but let me know if that makes any sense. Storm.
If we click on this button, the content drawer will show up and we now can see our content browser, or all of the items, content, or assets.
Integer to text now. I bet you there's something that is converting it. Like is the thing that you are currently using it must be converting it back to integer or something. I mean, I say must. I say that came off really like opinionated. I have no idea, but my guess was that it is turning it back into an integer or something. You say you're casting it to text, but that comma there means it's a number. I think. Uh, if we were in like a Discord or something, I'd tell you to screen share with me, and I could probably mess around with you. But hard to like do it from the chat. Sorry, man. The text input puts a comma. Uh-huh. Hmm. No. Uncheck use grouping in to text node. Oh, not there anymore. Does this make any sense? Uncheck use grouping in to text node. However, like in menus, it's in use grouping to text. Hmm. Talking about actors, not text. Did it? Ah, wild. I'm glad I can help. Like that amazes me that I was able to help. Lol. Okay. Well, good to know. You know what? I'm so happy that I was able to do that somehow. I'm uh I'm a complete noob at this. I do have experience like programming, but I guess and googling. That's the only thing I've got.
Inside of our project. If we were to find something we wanted to put into our scene, we could drag it out of our content browser. For example, if I was to navigate the list on the left, we have starter content, we have something called props, and then we can see a bunch of items or static
Props.
meshes that we can put into our scene. And the engine's smart enough to know if we just drag and drop, it'll automatically add them. So if we grab this chair, drag it out of our content browser, we can now put it anywhere we want inside of our scene. It's going to do our best to put it onto a surface. And we can repeat that as needed. Here's a bush, for example.
A bush.
Now, if you don't want the content drawer to continually go away, you can dock it in the top right.
Okay, so again, just kind of reiterating stuff that I kind of know, just like super basic stuff. Talking about the content drawer, his down at the bottom, like down here. If I pinned mine, wait, I thought I pinned mine. In my other one, I pinned it this way. I pushed dock in. How did I do it last time? I had it not pop out like lock content browser, and then I dragged it last time. Oh yeah, okay, put it right here because I like having all of my outline and my folders and stuff on the left. And that comes from my background and a little bit of coding and stuff. I like to have like a lot of text editors, all your files and stuff are on the left side, and then your work is on the right side. So that's where that's coming from. Again, you don't have to do this layout. This is just what I like. And you can go like this too. Change it to like list. So it's a little bit more compact. There we go. Then we got starter content, like what he's talking about in the video. Props, which he's talking about in the video. And then you can just drag stuff. So it's not, oops, computer's lagging. Well, I have a laptop and it's not that good. You have a kind of working Pokemon game. Hey, that's awesome. Proud of that. Cool. That's pretty cool. What kind of Pokemon game are you thinking? Like, would it be first person, third person, just like more realistic Pokemon? I'd be down for like. I feel like the Pokemon genre. You know what the Pokemon genre needs? The Pokemon genre needs an MMO. MMO Pokemon game. That would be sick. Like not like how they have it now, like a true MMO where you're like open world, engage with people. I think that's what people have been wanting their entire freaking lives. Anyways, all I'm trying to say is your game sounds dope. Let's
And now
keep
the
going.
content drawer will stay, and we can continue adding items into our world. At the top left, you have access.
If it wasn't clear to everyone, if you're very, very, very new, you will find there'll be folders of things that you can drag into your game, and it's as simple as that. And then once they're in your game, you can like rotate them and stuff. Um, that, boop, boop, boop. Um, I think the most confusing thing when I was like very, very first starting is uh knowing where stuff was in your content drawer, right? Like so like there's starter content, but like there's no like all the folders look the same. And so it was like kind of hard for me to figure out where I was like, where the heck is this stuff that I just drag in? I just want to start. Um you have to like know where to go. I think a cool add-on or like a cool plugin would be like in like VS Code, different files have different icons depending on the code or like the language that you're using. It'd be cool if they made a plugin to where like if a folder was mostly materials, it would have like a circular icon or something. But in their defense, they do kind of have that up here. And if I were to try to explain the difference between your content browser down here and thing in here, the outline up here, called the outliner. The outliner is stuff that's in the game. Everything that's in the outliner is in the game. It looks similar to your content browser, which is like your assets that you can put in the game. But everything here is things that are in the game. So that might be a little bit confusing if you're seeing two different locations for folders and stuff. Like, why those are two different locations? Can't you guys just simplify this, please? That is the difference. So let's continue with this intro video. Let's keep
To the
going.
place actors. This is where you can quickly add common things such as basic shapes, visual effects, or lighting. You can also use the place actors panel option at the bottom, and it will dock it on the left side. The entire user interface is adjustable.
Let me go back to that.
Quickly add common things such as basic shapes, visual effects, or lighting. You can also use the place actors panel option at the bottom, and it will dock it on the left side.
Oh, cool. Never noticed that. So we go here, place actors panel. Right here. I'll put it in the same one as this. Actor, character, pawn, lights, shapes. Cool. Everything, and he said like everything is adjustable and you can move. Anyways, let's continue with the video.
The entire user interface is adjustable. We can slide things around, we can move them, and dock them to different spots. If we get to the point where we don't like something, we can close them if we no longer want them. And if our entire interface gets to the point where we've damaged it and we don't really know what we've done, we can go back to Window, Load Layout, and load the default layout. Let's take a quick look at the
All right, how do we do that?
We can move them and dock them to different spots.
The default loadout.
If we get to the point where we don't like something, we can close them if we no longer want them. And if our entire interface gets to the point where we've damaged it and we don't really know what we've done, we can go back to Window, Load Layout, and load the default layout.
Window, load layout, default editor layout. Cool.
Let's take a quick look at the other parts of our user interface. Along the top right, by default, we have our outliner. So this is going to be a hierarchical view, or an overview of everything inside of our world.
And again, his is on the right side, mine's on the left. Doesn't matter. I apologize if that's confusing, but you can move everything around to how you like it. He's saying hierarchical. It's just, I think, folders. Everything is a folder, even if it doesn't have a folder icon, and you can put stuff underneath it, which is kind of making it like in that folder. It makes sense, like if you want to group things together, say you have a house. There's walls, there's floors, there's a ceiling. You could put them all under one hierarchy, and then they'll be like grouped together. But it's made of smaller parts. So that's what he's trying to explain here.
You can see we have a floor. Let me make this a little bit bigger. We have different parts of our walkway. We have our different lights and our different effects. You can click on them and they will select them inside the world. And whenever you select an item in the world, that item will be highlighted in our outliner. All the information about the item we have highlighted will be down here in our details panel. This is where you might adjust things such as the color of our light, the angle of our light, or how bright it is. Or if you're working with a mesh, maybe if it has collision or how big it is. Lastly, at the top, we have our main menu tool.
And just to kind of go into details, my details is pretty big. So when I click on something, this whole section over here fills up with stuff. So if I click on this chair, it looks like it's spazzing out. Is that just my computer? For some reason it's like, whatever. So I click on this chair. It's got tons of information. tons of information. And if you're overwhelmed, so am I, because I'm also learning this with you guys. But look at all that. Um, from my minimal experience, transform is a big one that you'll need to know. It's basically just a location. See if I move this, it moves it. Boop, 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 boop. Mesh, what it looks like. And the materials, like the colors and stuff. Physics. So like I could, you know, if I put this chair up and it didn't have physics, it won't fall down. It's just staying in the air right there. See that? But if I click on it and do simulate physics, it'll fall down. So like the see, it just fell. So the details thing is like where you put a bunch of information about the object that is clicked, that is selected, stuff like that. So hopefully that's not too crazy. Oh, look at some fire. Feeling like adding some fire. Death and destruction, brother. Nice. Okay. But yeah, and there's stuff like look at all the details on the fire. We got particles. So you can also filter it. The different types of details. There's a lot here, so don't get all overwhelmed like I do. Okay, let's keep going with the video. Let's keep learning. Almost done with this section.
This is where we can do things such as save our levels, select the different modes we're working in. By default, we're in the select mode, but this is where we work with things such as brush editing, animation, and landscape. We have our quick actors panel here. We have a few other shortcuts such as blueprints and sequences. We have our play menu toolbar. This is where we can get in and out of play testing, as well as various options such as if we're testing multiplayer. Our platforms shortcut. This is where we would build and package out to any of our platforms we're building to, as well as testing on devices. And lastly, on the far right, we have quick access to our settings, things such as world settings and project settings, and scalability settings. One thing I'd like you to do is maybe play test the sample project to get a...
There's a lot of settings. I haven't been through all this stuff. Settings, world settings, project settings, plugins. I think everywhere you click Unreal Engine, there's just 1,000 other things that pop up. Okay. Okay.
Feel for how the engine is running. If we click the play button, we'll now be started out in the third-person view because we use the third-person template, and we have a character that we can run around our level. We can click to give our mouse control inside of our viewport. We can rotate around using the mouse, and similar to our viewport controls, the WASD keys to move our character around the level. We can also jump and move around. When you're done playtesting, go ahead and hit escape, and you'll get back into your editor. Now that we have our basic project set up, let's take a look at how we can add additional assets such as models or materials from other sources, such as the marketplace or even other projects.
Well, the thing I'm going to end there. We started a project. We kind of worked through a problem with Storm Run Gaming, and then we just kind of went through everything in the sample project, and we're gonna dive deep next time. I got dinner soon, so I'll finish modules. Was it 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8? Next episode. But again, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Fun learning Unreal Engine 5 together. And again, this is linked in the description. Yada yada. I would encourage you to go check it out too if you're trying to learn. It's some good stuff. But anyways, we will chat later.